Hello again and welcome to another edition of Shed Talk, my weekly magazine video series, looking at the keeping, breeding and showing of caged birds with a particular focus on the exhibition style budgerigar. Well, in this episode actually, it's the exhibition budgerigars that will come to the front as we start to think about what we're going to do in terms of the show team for the upcoming show season. So what I'm going to do is we will get the adult any age birds out that I think will make the show team, and then we'll pull some birds out of the nappy flight for the young bird show team. So we'll have a look at that in a moment. We will of course have a quick look out at the fifes, and we will have a quick look out to see how the zebras are doing. If you're new to the channel, then welcome. If you enjoy this video, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel. All the subscriptions help, and if you want early notification of future videos, then do hit the bell. If you're a returning subscriber and watch the videos almost weekly, I know many of you do, and so thanks for the feedback and the comments you do saying how much you enjoy the videos. Then thank you for supporting the channel as you do, and do hit the like button. So right, what we'll do now then is we'll talk a little bit about what I've done in the budgerigar shed in order to prepare for getting the show team ready, and then we'll have a look at some of the birds that may or may not make the show team. So as I said, what we will do very, very shortly is grab the adult or the any age birds out from here. I've got 4, I think, possibly 5 in mind, and we'll have a quick look at those. We'll put them in the showcase, have a quick look. I won't talk about them, I'll just show you the birds that I'm thinking of making the any age show team. What I have done though in here, in order to make room, is you may remember we had 2 hens that were in one of the old wooden breeding cages that I had, I think either last episode or a couple of episodes ago, made now into a stock cage. Those 2 hens have now been put back in the main flight. They've been in there plenty long enough to recover, and so that top one has now been prepared for the young birds to go into. So this year's young bird show team to go into. I've chosen the top cage because it means I can watch them better in the top cage. The lower cage is fine, I can see the adults in there fine, but I can watch them better, and I think with them being slightly high up it will settle them a bit more. So that's my purpose for putting them in the top cage. The bottom cage has now also been disinfected and wiped out and is prepared for the adults, so they will go into there. So there should be 4 or 5 in the top, 4 or 5 in the bottom, with 10 in total. I will probably only ever take between 4 and 6 birds to any of the shows, but it will give me something to choose to see what's in the best condition. So that's what I've done with those 2 stock cages. Both are now full length stock cages. The other thing that's happened in here is the birds. So the one that was the yellow face that had been poorly, that we've recovered, is now in the main flight, and the 2 new birds to the shed, the birds we got from Terry Sadler, the dominant pied and the Lutino, are also now in the main flight. So the only thing we've got in breeding cages at the moment is the final breeding pair, and for those all of the chicks are now out of the nest box. I've closed the nest box in because I don't want the hen going back in there and starting to go for another round. I'm going to give those about another 2-3 days, and then I'm going to remove the cockbird and just let the hen finish those off on her own. I'll probably move the cockbird to one of the cages below it. I'm a bit worried if I put it in that top row of breeding cages, they'll be able to see each other, and the hen may be distracted by seeing him and not feed the chicks so well. So that's what I've done in here. Let's now get the adults out and we'll have a look at those, followed by the young birds. So here are the first two of the adults that we're going to look at, and these two, many of you may know, are siblings if you've been watching a little while. Both were in the breeding cages but didn't actually produce anything, and they are grey-green cinnamons. At the moment, in terms of condition, the bird on the right, as you're looking at it, is currently in a much better condition, although it is still missing some flights. So I'm hoping that with a bit of a spray, it will regain those. The bird on the left, not quite in as good condition, but again, I'm missing a few more flights than the one on the right. But again, it's got some time before the next show, so I'm hoping it will have both birds will have sufficient flights for it to repel. But my expectation is it will be the bird on the right that I will take. So those are the first two adult birds. They didn't get a chance to go out last year because they spent most of last year and this year actually in a breeding cage or recovering from the breeding cage. So there we go, first two. Hopefully, who knows? We'll have to wait and see, won't we? But that's the first two. So here are the next two, and this is the father and son. So the father is the sky blue on the right, and the son is the cobalt on the left. Again, the bird on the right, not in the greatest of condition at the moment, but with a spray. So a bit of a spray and a wash, I'm hoping will come back. And the bird on the left, so the cobalt, just needs a clean up, I think. Just needs a little bit of a clean up, and then he should look a little bit better. The cobalt, of course, is the one that produced lots and lots of youngsters for me this year. So those are the next two birds then that will go into the adult show team. So far we've got cinnamon, and we've got a sky blue, and we've got a dark factor blue. So those classes. The final bird that we're going to get out, so far we don't have any greens in the thing, and the final bird also is not going to be a green. So we will of course keep our eye on the stock cage, on the main flight, and see if there's any birds that are in condition and looking good. So anyway, these are the next two birds, the sky blue and the cobalt. And this is the last of the any age birds, this grey opaline cinnamon. A bit loose at the moment. I think most of the birds seem to be in the molt, certainly by the number of feathers around the shed. I think it's that we had a spell of really hot weather, or we've had a spell of really hot weather. So I think that's made them go into a soft molt. But there we are. So this is the last of the any age birds. That we're going to put into the stock cage as part of our initial thoughts on a show team. So before we talk about these next two birds, what I thought I'd do is very quickly say that in terms of my young birds, most of my young birds, fortunately I think, are hens, and I really don't want to be showing the hens, certainly not too much. So if we take example this bird here, which is probably, I still think, probably the best bird I've bred this year. Because it's a hen, it won't go out because I want to make sure it's not too stressed prior to the breeding season, where hopefully September, October time it'll go into the breeding cage and be able to produce some birds, some more youngsters for me. So that's the reason not planning to show this bird or any other of the hens that are in the young bird flight. This does limit me a little bit. So I'll talk first about these two birds here. We've got a cinnamon dominant pied opaline, which I believe will go in the dominant pied class, sorry. And then we've got a grey-green, sorry, not a grey-green, then we've got a dark green bird. Both of these are cock birds, and they're still quite young, but I think they have a little bit of potential. They're both in reasonable condition, a bit of a tidy up on the tails in particular, and when they go into the stock cage it will make life slightly easier because there's a bit more room than there is in the nappy flight, so hopefully there won't be quite so much chance for them to get their tail either pecked or rubbed against the bars. So there we go, the first two then, a cinnamon dominant pied opaline sky blue and a dark green. So this is the final bird, this cinnamon light blue or sky blue, and I really don't know if this is actually going to go out to the show at the moment. I think it's still a bit, well, it's lost its tail to begin with. I think that will grow back, but I'm not sure it's going to be good enough to go out at all. But it's the only other cock bird I've got in the nappy flight, and I'll show you a quick picture of the nappy flight, and every one of the birds in there is now a hen. So as far as I can tell, there's a couple that I thought were cock birds. When I caught them up, they turned out to be hens. So very fortunate for next year's breeding season that I've got so many hens to choose from. But unfortunately it does mean I don't have very many young birds that I can get out to the show this year. So I suppose, I think from my point of view, I probably would prefer it that way round. And it will probably just mean that we will not really be able to get very many young birds out in the young bird class. But this one, we'll have to wait and see. If he grows a little bit more and settles a bit more in the show cage, just possibly. What I will do is I'll give him a clean up, a good wash, check him over for feathers and stuff, which I will do for all the others, and then we'll take another look and make a decision. But there we go, so that's all of the birds that we're going to so far put in the stock cages as part of the show team. So we've got a total of 8 birds, possibly. So now we've looked at those, what we'll do is we'll nip out to the finch and fife flight and have a quick update from there. So first a quick update on the fifes, then a very quick update. So all of the youngsters, all 4 of them, have jumped the nest, and what I've done, and I'm hoping this is correct, so what I've currently done is I've removed the nest pan. I've not put it on the bottom as I did with the last lot. They all seem to be coping fine. I've seen both the hen and the cockbird, particularly the hen, feeding the chicks. So I've moved, like I say, I've taken the nest pan out, and my main reason for that is I don't want the hen going down for a third round. My intention is, and again, those of you that are canary breeders, let me know what you think, but my intention is to separate the cage into two, keep the youngsters and the hen on one side and move the cockbird onto the other side. The cockbird would still be able to feed the youngsters through the wire, and would also be able to feed the hen should he wish through the wire, but in doing this I'm just trying to make sure that the cockbird doesn't keep pestering the hen, and they have recently, probably in the last 2 or 3 days, the hen has shown a tiny little bit of aggression towards the cockbird whenever he goes near her, so I suspect she's out of condition more than anything else, and therefore doesn't want the cockbird to chase her around trying to mate with her. So that's the fives. Before I go from the fives, a quick thank you to those of you who commented on last week's episode. A particular thank you goes out to Graham Davies, who mentioned two things. First of all, he gave me some information about connecting the show cage to the breeding cages, so that's really big thank you to that. So I will do that, and we'll probably have a look at that in the next episode. The other thing he mentioned was that the two perches in the show cages, or in the training cages that I've got, were a little bit too far apart. He told me there should only be 5 bars in between, and it looked as if there were more than that. He was correct, there was more than that, so they're now down to 5 bars in between in the show cages. So again, thank you for that, Graham, much appreciated. I hope to catch up with you in July at the Young Stock Show, if you can make it. Anyway, that's it really. The other 3 baby fives doing well, you know, the 3 that are now weaned and in the other cages doing well. I've not managed to work out whether there's any cockbirds in amongst those. I do need to spend a bit more time just sat in here observing them. Been really busy working over the last couple of weeks, and will be next week, so it'll probably be after that I will get a chance to spend a bit more time down here in the shed. So that's it from fives from breeding to bench. How have the zebras done? Well, despite the early promise with the zebras, and I was saying there would appear to be nests being built in all 3 of the nest boxes, as you can see from this clip, the main focus for nest building appears to be the one on the far wall, which is a very well built nest, but so far there's no eggs in there. So I'm hopeful that the hen will decide to start laying in there over the next couple of weeks, but given the number of eggs that I had seen on the cage floor, I've expected some eggs in there by now, but you know, who knows. So that seems to be the main focus. The other nest box still has some in it, and therefore it may well be that one of the other hens has chosen that box. The third nest box has been emptied, so there was some nest building going on in there. I think the hen that's been building in the nest box on the far wall has actually emptied that one and moved all the nesting material across to there. I will continue to put some nesting material into the main flight just in case there is a third hen in there. I think there are only 2, but if there is a third hen in there, it will give her an opportunity to build in that third nest box. Clearly the preferred nest box is the highest, same goes for the budgerigars, so if you're colony breeding with budgerigars, it's always recommended that all the nest boxes are at the same height and all look the same, because you can guarantee if one's higher or looks slightly different, that will be the one that all the hens will choose, and they'll then start fighting over it. So there we are. That's it from out here in the finch and fife flight. A better update, I hope, with the fifes in the next episode. Well, that is just about all we've got time for in this episode. As always, if you enjoy it, don't forget to hit the like button. Please do comment, and of course do share the video if you wish to more widely. And then don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. In the next episode, we will almost certainly have another chance to have a look at some of that preparation of the budgerigars, and we'll also have a slightly longer update on the fifes, and I really do hope we'll run some through the training cage or the show cage, because I'm hoping to get them out for the Oxford 1910 Young Bird Show. So yes, so all that in the next episode, but until then, as always, do stay safe and enjoy your birds.